Hello stampers and welcome to my stamp studio. I am super excited today. I have a very fun project to share with you. We are going to be using the Friends Are Like Seashells stamp set and some of the opal rounds. So can't wait to play with these. If you haven't used them before, they're so fun. So we have a fun card today. We're going to be doing a watercolor background. So super excited about that. It was just something that I thought was going to be really fun and different. I wanted to share a technique with you today. So I hope you have your lunch. I hope you're ready to just, well, eat your lunch and have some entertainment. So thanks for joining our Hump Day Lunch Break Live. And let me flip the camera down and we will get started. So if you get dizzy, close your eyes. There we go. Okay, so now we have my spot here. Let me just move my lighting over. It is a beautiful day here. And I'm just, oh, I forgot to even turn on my iPad here so I can actually see everything going on. So give me just a moment to do that. And it's going to be really loud because I had the volume on for something else. So tell me what you're having for lunch today. And there we go. Okay, let me get some of these things out of the way and I'll be sharing with you as I go what I'm going to be using. Okay, puppy dog, you gotta move. So my dog is laying right underneath my feet. Hello, Barbara. How are you? Hi, Amy. Okay, so we're also going to be using our water painters, our Fluid 100 watercolor paper, and a couple of different stamp sets. I'm sorry, not stamp sets, colors. So the colors that we'll be using are going to be Sahara Sand. And let me move this stuff out of the way so you can see it. So Sahara Sand, Bermuda Bay, Soft Suede, and Pool Party. Now some of it I've done just a little bit ahead so that we don't have to wait online, so I can make this quick for you while we are on our lunch break. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring in my paper for my desktop. Because I'm going to be using the watercolor painter, the water markers, water painters. They changed the name. I have a hard time remembering that name. I want to make sure that I have something to protect my tabletop. Let me just move that up. I also on the side here have a piece of paper towel. And if you are worried about recycling, then use a towel. But we'll need this to kind of clean off our water painters as we go. And let's see, what do I want to do first? I want to grab our supplies out. So I have a very vanilla envelope. I have a Pool Party cardstock, and this is cut to 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. I have a piece of Very Vanilla. It's 5 1/4 by 4 for the inside of the card. I have my first card layer, So Saffron. It is measured 5 1/4 by 3 3 3/4. And that is because our watercolor paper comes in 5 by 7 and I cut it down in half. So this is actually 3.5 by 5. So that's going to go right on there. So that's how we're going to start. I do have some scrap pieces of vanilla that we'll be stamping on. But the first thing that we're going to start with is our watercolor paper. So let's get that. I'm going to go ahead and put it right there on my papers, and I'm going to bring in my Pool Party stamp pad. Sorry, my table just got all discombobulated there. And my Sahara Sand, Soft Suede, and Bermuda Bay. I'm going to use the Soft Suede and Bermuda Bay just to add a little something after the fact, but we're first going to start, and I need to move my stamps out of the way, with our Sahara Sand. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually open my stamp pad and I'm going to use this as my paint palette. So I'm taking some re-inker and I am just dropping just a couple drops in there. I'm also going to do that with my Pool Party. I'll put a couple of drops in there. And for some reason, this one is just a little pistol to get my liquid out. All right, so I'm going to turn those this way. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my water painter here, and I have the thick brush, and so I just want to make sure I have it filled with water, and there's a push right here. So I just want to make sure that some of the liquid is coming out, so you can kind of see that coming out. All right, I'm going to take a little bit in my Sahara sand here and kind of just squish it in there, and then I'm going to pull that re-inker into it. And the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to move this out of the way. I'm just going to take it along the bottom here and brush along my cardstock. Okay, just like that. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and clean this off. I'm going to move my ink. I'm going to dab some of that extra liquid up because I want to use another color. So I want to squeeze that, get that color out. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and close this up. Now I'm going to pull in my Pool Party, and again I'm going to use this thicker brush, squeeze some water in there and just blend that in. And now I'm going to paint the top of my card here. I'm going to start with the darker towards the Sahara sand on the bottom and just kind of work my way up all the way there. There we go. I'm kind of blend it in right there. I might even add just a little more color right in there. Every time you do this technique, it's going to look a little different. All right, so let's go ahead and get this cleaned. And now I'm going to come in with the thinner tip water painter. I'm going to go ahead and close this up here. And I'll clean those later because I'm going to be using that probably again. And this time I'm taking my Bermuda Bay and I'm going to squish my stamp pad just like this so that I get some color right there. So if you don't have re-inkers, you can still do the same technique. And again, with my brush here, I'm just taking a little bit to get the water out and putting a little bit right in there. And I'm just going to add just some waves in here. Kind of randomly through here, not real, no particular pattern or design to it, and just keeping my colors a little lighter, just like that. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and clean that off, and we're going to close this for right now. I'm going to put this aside to dry. Now it shouldn't take too long to dry. This absorbs the paper really well, and I do have my windows open, so it's been drying pretty quickly, but I'm going to show you one I just did a little earlier. Oh, and one other thing I forgot. When this dries, you can add more color if you want. So I'm going to take my Sahara, my soft suede here, and I just want to add just a little bit down here in my sand area, just to give it just a little more dimension, just randomly through here. There we go. All right. And like I said, I'm going to set this aside to dry. I have done this earlier, so I have one completely ready for us. So this is how it will look when it's dried. The next thing that we're going to do is we are going to do a little bit of stamping here. And this stamp set does come with dies. So here is the stamp set, and the coordinating dies look like this. And you can cut out your different seashells with that. I'm actually going to be doing a couple of videos with this whole product suite. The product suite's available through the end of the month. Part of it is a designer series paper, which will no longer be available after June 30th. However, the rest of the supplies will be. So yeah, just watch for some more videos. I'll be posting those on YouTube and different ways to use the stamp set and the dies. So today we're not going to be using the dies. I'm going to bring in my mat for my Stamparatus so that I have something underneath to cushion my stamping. I'm going to pull off my wet paper here. All right, and I'm going to just slide this right underneath. There we go. Let me slide up more so we can And I am just going to take a pencil mark here because I tend to, when I'm doing the videos, I forget where my mat is. So it just lets me know where to go in for the camera. Okay, I'm going to pull in this large seashell. I'm going to pull in the sand dollar, the starfish, and the smaller seashell, and these little speckles. So these speckles are a great way, if you don't like flicking your marker on something, you can use these speckles to do that with. And then we'll pull in a sentiment. But for right now, let's start with our larger seashell. I'm going to go ahead and take Bermuda Bay, and we're going to ink this up. Now, when you are first using your photopolymer, if you haven't used it yet, what I'd recommend is that you take your photopolymer stamp and ink it up with Versamark. The reason I'm saying that is sometimes there's this film on the stamps when they first are new, so you want to get that off. So the Versamark is a sticky ink, so it will do that. I just stamp off on some scrap paper, and then I'll go ahead and clean it on my either my chamois or my scrub mat here. So just clean that one off. Just a quick little tip for you. And so here we go. So we're going to stamp this one first. And I'm going to just fussy cut these today. All right. And let's get this cleaned off a little bit. If you stamp off in some of your ink and then you go to clean your stamp, you're going to find that it cleans easier. Quick tip. All right. Next, I'm going to take my sand dollar and I'm going to stamp that in Sahara sand. Open this back up. And notice I do have 2 stamps on my block. It's just because I'm not positioning these, so I know that it's okay to stamp wherever I need to. So there's my sand dollar. I'm going to take my other seashell, and I think I'm going to actually do that in, yeah, we'll do it in Sahara sand as well. All right, so ink that up really good and put it right here. Just like that. Clean that off. I don't need to use that one anymore. This one off. And now for my starfish, I'm actually going to use my soft suede. All right, and I'll just stamp that right here. All right, now the reason I use the soft suede is because I'm going to come in with a blender pen, and I'm going to kind of blend some of that together. Let me just grab my blender pen. These come in a pack of 3. I will have all the products in the description below, and when I post this to YouTube, it'll always be there as well. So I'm just going to kind of just pull out some of the color that is from that ink. I'm just giving it a little bit of dimension there. I'm not pulling a lot out, and I'll hold it up to the camera so you can see that a little bit better in just a moment. So I just add a little dimension to it. So by doing those ridges, it kind of gives me like a raised look, even though it's not. All right. So we'll put that aside. And then we're going to go ahead and fussy cut everything out. Now I've done some of that already. So here are the things I've cut. I'm going to go ahead and cut this one out because I didn't do that one earlier. And they're pretty easy to cut out. They're not a really intricate shape. Okay, so that was a bad little turn there. We'll just go back and trim that in a minute. Sometimes when you're cutting a larger piece of paper, it's just easier to cut off the section that you need to trim. Now, with the blender pen and being on the Very Vanilla, you can't blend too much because I didn't use the thick. I just used the regular. If you want to be able to blend more, then use the thick cardstock. Otherwise, you can end up breaking down your paper, and you don't want to do that. All right, so I'm just going to fix that other side here. And it doesn't have to be perfect. There we go. Okay, so there is all of that. So I'm going to bring in my card base now. I'm going to go ahead and adhere my So Saffron on front. I'm just going to use my seal here. Ooh, I'm almost low on seal, so I may have to switch to liquid glue. All right. All right, just like that. And notice it's not completely the same all the way around, so just make sure you're centering that so you have the same distance from each of the sides. Now I'm going to go ahead, and I think this time I'm going to bring in, this is the wet one. What did I do with the dry one? Oh, this is the dry one. Okay, I'm going to bring in my Seal Plus, just because I'm running out here and I need to get a refill. So bring in my Seal Plus. Now this is a heavier type of cardstock. It's watercolor paper, so it's very heavy. So you want to make sure that you're using a very strong adhesive. And actually, before I do that, I'm going to just kind of layer my stuff where I want it to go, because I want to come in with my sentiment. And my sentiment says, friends are like seashells, you collect them along the way. And I'm going to actually stamp that in soft seafoam. I'm sorry, not soft seafoam, soft suede. We have too many soft colored names here. Okay, so let's get that. Just ink that up, and I'm going to go right in the upper corner here. When I first saw this set, I was actually kind of overwhelmed by the amount of products in this suite. But as I started using them, I realized it's so much fun. So that's why I decided doing some videos on all the different products in that suite will kind of make it a little less intimidating. So now I'm just going to adhere everything together. So let's go ahead and dump those off. Let's get our Seal Plus on here. Now, if you haven't ever used Seal Plus and you wonder why it's different, and I'm hoping you can see there's little tick marks along the way. So when you're doing this, let me see if I can get some off of my hand here. They come out in little, of course I'm not going to be able to pull them off now. Come off in little, well, you're not going to see it. Come off in little strips here. So it just, if this happens, it's because the grain of your paper got caught. So what we'll do is just go the other direction. Okay. So that's all you have to do with that. All right, let's go ahead and adhere this on. And I'm not adding really any other embellishments other than we'll add the opal pearls in just a minute. All right, I'm sorry, the round opals. I'm going to go ahead and I think we're going to pop these up from the card. I'm going to put this one behind, but I'm going to pop these other ones up. So let's grab some dimensionals. And notice I stamped on very vanilla cardstock. So when you stamp the other colors, they're going to look a little different than they do when you stamp on basic white. Just a little note I wanted to share. Okay. So let's get this ready to go. And I'm going to position this right here. I'm going to go up just a little bit so I have enough room for my sand dollar. I'm going to take adhesive here. Just run this right along the back, and you can put it wherever direction that you want. Kind of like that. And we'll put this over here. Take that dimensional off. Now, when I'm putting this dimensional down, I want to make sure I'm not putting it on top of the one that's already popped up. I want to make sure I'm getting it there. So there we go. And it's okay if it goes off the card a little bit. If you don't like it over there, we can just move it to wherever you'd like. We'll move this one up a little bit. All right, there we go. And we have our little starfish here. I'm going to give it a good fold here. So kind of along those lines, I'm just folding it a little bit. Just like that. Kind of gives it a little more dimension on there. Get my hand around there. There we go. And now I'm going to put a mini dimensional right in the back of that one. I think I have some handy. Right in the back. And I'll adhere this to my card. Just right here. Just like that. I felt like it needed something right there. So I have a little piece of adhesive there. I'm just going to take my nail and scrape that off. Okay, now let's come in with our opal rounds. If you wanted to color these a different color, you can. They're kind of like pearlescent, translucent. Use your blends, your Stampin' Blends, the alcohol-based ones. Markers will not keep the color on here. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my putty, my Take-a-Pick putty. And there are different shapes, different sizes. So you've got your small, your medium, and your large. And I'm just going to take a couple here. Doesn't matter which ones. I'm going to put one right here. Into a little small one. Right over here. And then I'm going to put another one over here. Right there. Okay. So quick and easy card. Not a whole lot of work to it. So things that you can get out pretty quick. The longest thing is to get this to dry. I'm going to go ahead and stamp the inside of my card now. And to do that, let's come back in with our stamp set here. So I have Friends Are Like Seashells. You collect them along the way. And I'm going to stamp You Are Unique and Completely Amazing on the inside. So this is a two-part, two stamp set kit. So there are 23 stamps in this stamp set. Awesome. All right. And just got to find my, here we go. It's right here. All right. Grab my block. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp that in the soft suede again, so I'm just being more consistent. Is this the right size? No. I think I stamped on my my inside piece. Oops. Let me go ahead and trim this one down because now I stamped on the wrong piece before. All right. So this should be 5 1/4 by 4. So let's just make sure it's at 4 and go to 5 1/4 here. You know, things like that always happen on live video. Hi, Diane. How are you today? Okay, so you still haven't told me what y'all are eating for lunch. Okay, let's take this and stamp our sentiment on the inside. And I'm going to stamp this in the bottom corner, because then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in another stamp, just like that. And I will bring in, there is this little grassy kind of leaf pattern in here. So we'll grab that. It is this one right here. So I think we'll grab this one as well. So we'll do both. And I'm going to do one in, let's see what colors I want to use. I'm going to do one in Sahara Sand, so I'll do this leafy one in Sahara Sand. And I'm going to do this one in Pool Party. There we go. Just like that. So just a way to use more of the stamps in the set. I love it, love it, love it when there's so many that you can use on one card. And you don't have to use them all on one card. So now the pool party does look quite a bit different when you stamp on vanilla, just so you know. Right, we'll put one there. And I think we'll just put one along the side here. Just like that. And let's take our Sahara Sand and ink this one up. I almost could play with this set for a couple more hours today, but I do have to get back to work. And I'm just stamping that through, and I'm going to add one more over here. There we go. So there is the inside of our card. And let's go ahead. I'm going to close these up, and we'll put this on the inside, and we'll come back to stamp our envelope. So let's take the inside here. One tip I have is just make sure when you're getting ready to put it down, you have it going the correct direction. Don't ask me how I know. Okay, so there we go. And now let's grab our envelope. And on our envelope, I am going to just take our sand dollar here, back in Sahara Sand. Actually, this time I'm going to do soft suede, because I'm going to add a little bit of Sahara Sand texture to it. So here's my soft suede. And I think I'm going to do the starfish as well. And I'm just going to layer it right towards the bottom there. And now let's come in with our blender pen again. And I'm going to add Sahara sand to this one here. So this is another technique that you can use with your blender pens without getting your paper really full of stuff. So I'm going to go right in here, add that right to the middle. I'm going to add a little bit on the edge here. Just kind of right around here. Not doing a whole lot and not being very particular. I'm just kind of scribbling it in there. Just adding a little bit of depth and dimension to that. You wouldn't have to necessarily do this if you didn't want to. Totally up to you. And now I'm going to come in with our soft suede and add a little more color to this one. So I'm just going to grab the color from right here, and I'm going to go right along the edges here. So you can see as the ink comes off a little bit, it gets lighter. So I'm going on the darker part right along those lines that the Stampin' Artist gave us. All right. Okay. So what a beautiful card. Gorgeous for anyone just to get like a relaxing type feel. So I hope you enjoyed this card today. I hope you enjoy your lunch and have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for being here, and take care. Bye.